Hi, I'm Professor Chuck. Welcome to Secret Shakespeare, Covert Classics Volume 1. Over the next 5 weeks or so, we're going to be watching some modern movies that were inspired by Shakespeare plays. We're going to start by watching one this week called 10 Things I Hate About You. It's a teen rom-com from 1999. Still feels pretty fresh and has a lot in common with the Shakespeare play that inspired it. Taming of the Shrew has some important differences too, and I think that this is a good place for us to start because it allows us to sort of examine how filmmakers take Shakespeare's plays and move them into contemporary settings, and how they still manage to deal with a lot of the same themes that Shakespeare dealt with 400 years ago, themes that remain very relevant to us in these days. Interestingly, I think Shakespeare is a really good one for us to look at over the next few weeks. We'll be looking at some comedies and also some tragedies. I think three comedies and two tragedies. So we keep the balance on the lighter side. But I'll be guiding you through this next 5 weeks. I've posted on the professorchuck.com website already some notes for you. There's a little blog post for you to read before you watch the movie. I'll also be posting some discussion questions to kind of focus your thinking after you watch the movie, or you may want to read through those even before you watch the movie, so you know things to look for. But I'm looking forward to spending the next 5 weeks with you, looking at these movies. They're fun. They're fun movies, and it's a great way to experience Shakespeare without having to read Elizabethan English, which I know can be a barrier for some people, and it can make the plays seem less relevant to us than they actually are. So welcome to the series. I'm happy to have you on board, whether you're signed up or not. Feel free to watch these videos and use the notes for your own personal edification. I know we're all looking for entertainment right now. We're all spending a lot more time on screens and watching streaming movies. So this seemed like a good way to sort of use my talents and skills as an English instructor to make people's lives a little bit happier right now, and to keep our brains active during this time when we're stuck at home and working from home and all those sorts of things. No schools. Interestingly, Shakespeare would have related pretty well to what we're going through right now. Shakespeare was born in 1564, over 400 years ago. He was born actually during the first major outbreak of the plague in England. He survived that. His older siblings did not survive that. The periodic outbreaks of the plague continued throughout his life and throughout his career. The theaters that he worked at. He was born in Stratford-on-Avon, a little town north of London. He had most of his dramatic career as an actor and a playwright in the theaters of London, and those theaters were periodically closed during his career due to new outbreaks of the plague. They didn't necessarily have the medical technology that we have these days, but the authorities did recognize that theaters where people were packed close together uh, were places that tended to spread the disease. So those were closed at times during Shakespeare's career. In fact, he famously is said to have written King Lear, one of his most famous plays, while the theaters were closed, while he was under quarantine, or the city was under lockdown. To prevent more spreading of the plague. So I think Shakespeare definitely could relate to what we're going through now. The plague doesn't show up in a lot of his plays very much. It does in a few little places, and we'll actually talk about that later in our series here. But Shakespeare's plays are much more designed, I think, as while true to the human spirit, true to our emotions, the things that we tend to tend to relate to in his characters. You know, love, jealousy, fear, all these sorts of human elements of human drama are unchanged over the centuries, obviously. Um, but Shakespeare, living in a time of plague, wanted to write things that would be escapist, would be a relief for people, would help them escape. So I think Shakespeare would very much relate to us, you know, streaming Netflix or Hulu or whatever ways we're getting these entertainments. Um, and so anyway, thanks again for joining me. I'm happy to have you on board. Watch for my posts, and we're going to get to watch some good movies over the next few weeks. So that's all for now. Watch for my posts online, and I will be back in touch with you soon. Thanks. Bye. Be well.